They range from the age from 6 to 18. And I didn't understand what autism was until about 12 years ago when my first son was 6 years old and he ran into the middle of the street and said he wanted to die. The principal called us and he said, "What's wrong with your son?" And he didn't know. We took him to a psychiatrist, to different therapists, and they said that was the first time I heard the term ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. But she said, "You know what, don't do anything about it. Bring him once a week to calm down his anxiety. Don't get him labeled because you're going to ruin his life." I was my first child. I was ignorant. And my husband and I didn't know what to do, and we thought, good idea. We had our third son by surprise. He was not expected, but we were really happy that we had our third child. And since he was born, he would cry horrible throughout the night, just disturbingly horrible. And around when he was 3 years old, he had never slept through the night. And that's when a friend approached me and said, "Michelle, I think your son is autistic." And it all made sense. And so I said, this time I'm going to get the help. I'm going to get him, if it means labeling, it's okay, because he needs help. So my son was around 4, my first son was about 12, 13. And he said, "Mom," my 13-year-old son said, "Mom, am I retarded? Am I letting you down? I don't want to get tested." Imagine the guilt as a parent. But I went ahead because I know better. I'm a parent. And as parents, we know better than our own children. So we got him tested, him and my 4-year-old. And the psychiatrist said, "Yes, your children are autistic." I already had 4 children. But the autism shows differently in every child. And so I say, no autistic child is the same. No autistic adult is the same. As when we're going through this journey of guilt, horrible guilt, that we let our first son down, and then how are we going to address our young son's needs, and all these different contradicting therapies that people agree with, they don't agree with, and we didn't know what to do, we had no help, we had no guidance, and at the same time my husband was realizing he was also autistic. And it made sense why 14 years ago he almost committed suicide. It was the stress. You see, people with autism don't have the ability, they have a deficiency in the executive function of the brain. What's an executive function of the brain? Is that ability to organize your mind. And people in the spectrum have that deficiency, a lot of them. So my husband, by instinct, we were friends for 7 years, and he said, "I want to marry you." That was 22 years ago. And I married him because I admired him, because people that are autistic, they all have a gift. They are brilliant. And so I knew he was someone different, someone special. So he said, "It don't make sense, Michelle. Why? I didn't want to live anymore. I couldn't organize my brain." We had 2 children at that time. He had had horrible views about his past, and we couldn't deal with it. So now, fast forward a year ago. A year ago, we sold everything in our city in Vancouver, in Canada, and we moved up north because I knew he had sensory issues. My 4 boys and my husband. The city was making him physically sick. I said, "I'm a flight attendant." I said, "I don't mind commuting. We will move up north, whatever we need. We will do everything for our 4 children and my husband." And at that point, my 8-year-old had never slept through the night since he was born. He's now 8, and had never slept through the night. Every morning, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. So imagine the stress on us as a marriage, as a family. I remember when he would cry, the electricity would go through my body. It felt like someone was electrocuting me. But we moved up there. I thought maybe him waking up to the birds chirping, he was going to sleep through the night, but he wasn't sleeping through the night. My teenage son was starting to slip into depression because life was too complicated. But I love how David Sandoval described it once. As somebody that's autistic, everything is overwhelming as opposed to someone that's neurotypical. So about a year and a half ago, a friend I saw somebody posting about Purium, but it didn't make sense to me. I already thought we were clean eaters. We didn't do junk food. We didn't do processed food. We didn't even do pop or juice. So I thought, that's not for us. But 3 months ago, another friend opened her box on Instagram, and I thought, okay, what's this? I called my friend, and she connected me to Sarah Molina. Sarah Molina explained to me what this was, and I thought, okay, well, if this is as good as you say it is, all of us are doing it. Here's my credit card, $2,400 later. I said, it doesn't matter. I've already moved up. My family up north. They sold our house. This is nothing. We will do, my husband and I will be so committed to our children. So, that was only 3 months ago. Day 3, my son had sleep through the night.
Woo!
He had night sleep through the night for the first time in 8 years. He woke up and he says, Mom, are you proud of me? I can sleep through the night. And I just said, my teenage son, my oldest teenage son, he went from going into depression to picking up his hobbies again. And my teenage sons, I have 2 teenage sons and 2 little sons, they started to get along a lot better. Their impulsiveness decreased. Their self-regulation improved. Even my husband said, Michelle, it's almost like the ability to self-analyze themselves has improved to the point where the impulsiveness has increased quite a lot. It's not a magic pill, and this is what I tell everybody, it's not a magic pill. But if you definitely make the connection, nutrition and mental health and autism is big. And my husband used to take days off, and he would be in a fetal position crying because he couldn't deal with life. And now he said, I can build our dream house. I can be a father I've always wanted to be, not take any more sick days. You don't have to work as much, Michelle. So I was just telling Dave my story because I'm so thankful. And I want to tell everybody that autism, never be ashamed if your spouse, your friend, your child is autistic. I call it that they have superpowers. And it's knowing how to harness those wonderful qualities, give them the best nutritional support possible, and use other, make sure they're close to nature, they're grounded, that they get the best help possible. Because I believe that through proper nutrition and the right intervention, you can bring out the best version of an autistic child, adult, or spouse. So I want this conversation to happen. I've always been an advocate about it, and now that Purium came into my life, now I just can't stop talking about it. So I started my Instagram. It's called Living in the Spectrum. If anybody wants to follow our story of our 4 little boys and my husband's, how we're dealing with life. But nutrition has changed our life. And thank you so much, David, for everything.
Now, before we bring up our next speakers, we're about to hear from 2-Star Crowns team. But before we do, I want to draw your attention to the back of the room. And I want Anna Marie and